Hello and welcome back to the Relationship School's Smart Couple Podcast. What is up, friends? How are we today? How are you? How am I? The world is churning. There's a lot going on in the world. And if you're smart and paying attention, when you have people by your side and you're close to someone, you can make this journey a little simpler, a little more easeful, and you have a place to come home to. And there's like, my person that has my back is there, or my people. You know, if you're into the friend thing or many friends, we all want to belong. And this podcast is all about helping you belong in an intimate relationship and do it well so that your relationship can be a resource, not a headache and not another stressful thing you have to deal with. In this episode, I'm really psyched to have three of my closest friends on the planet here with me as we just dialogue. And this is a really different episode. It's similar to Cock Talk way back when had a bunch of men on the podcast and we just talked about our bodies and our sexuality and our relationships. And it was pretty powerful. So this is, we're back with another episode of like a men's dialogue and a men's conversation among me and myself and a couple of my really close friends. And the reason I want to put this out here to you, because I think it's so valuable, is a lot of people don't know what's possible in a friendship with other men or women in your life. So this is giving you a window into what I have and what I've worked hard to create with a couple of these guys. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves in a moment. But before I do, I wanted to say a couple words about how long I've known these guys and, again, why I would do a podcast like this. Because really, I want you to have extremely close friends that challenge you and support you. A lot of the listeners, I think you might find yourself in relationships that are overly supportive and people don't call bullshit on you and give you hard feedback about how they experience you. And that's essential for me in my life to grow. I've had these three guys have called me out numerous times over many years on all kinds of things, from my relationship to parenting to money, business, life, spirituality. And I have been through insane experiences with these three guys from a personal growth perspective. You know, my extreme sport is personal growth. It used to be climbing and mountain biking and extreme skiing, and now it's the inward journey, the inward adventure into the farthest recesses of my consciousness. And I travel there with these guys. Okay, so first is, let's say, who have I known the longest? I think I've known Keith the longest. Keith I met in 2002 in grad school at Naropa University. And I didn't really like Keith at first, and we laugh about this now, and he didn't really like me. But by our third year, we were really close friends, and we did our internship together at a local mental health center here, helping really, really sick and challenged people and their families. And anyway, we went through the ringer together. We were in a men's group together initially. And then we just have been through so many crazy adventures together. And Keith is a extremely close friend of mine and his wife as well. And my wife and his wife are friends, close friends. And man, he's just an outstanding human being. So I'll let him introduce himself here in a moment. And then Reuvain was the next guy I met. And Reuvain is just a deep brother and traveler on this path. He and I met in grad school. I was taking a class. I think it was my first year of graduate school in a 3-year master's program in psychology. And Reuvain was the TA. And it was a class, I think it was a group dynamics class. That's what it was. We learned to facilitate groups. It might have been in my second year. I don't know. First year or second year. We took a group facilitation class. Christina Kaufman was the teacher, and Reuvain was the TA. And I just liked his vibe. I was like, dude, this guy is like so cool. So after class, I said, maybe after I sussed him out a few classes, I was like, bro, I'm curious if you know anything about men's groups. And you seem like I like your vibe, and you seem to be like carrying yourself really well. And I want what you have. I just went up to him and said that because he was embodying himself in a way that I wasn't familiar with. I was coming from a different male culture. And he was a new guy, like acting differently. He was way in his heart. He was in his body. He was very relationally available and capable. And I was like, whoa. So I said, dude, where'd you get that? How'd you do that? And do you know anything about men's groups? And he said, yeah, actually, I'm going to be starting one soon. And sure enough, he started a David Data style men's group that I became a friend in. Him and a bunch of other friends, we started this men's group that ran for 6 years. We met every 2 weeks. And Reuvain was just an amazing human. I lived with Reuvain. We've been through many trials and tribulations. We've been through lots of conflict. And we've seen each other get married and have kids, and our kids are getting older, and it's just wild to be on this ride with him. And then Will, so that's Reuvain, total badass. And Will Vanderveer, I met on a meditation retreat with my teacher at the time, Reggie Ray. I was in a Buddhist community for many years, and Will was one of those guys that had been sitting longer than me and was as ambitious as I was to win on the meditation cushion, the metaphorical meditation cushion. Like, I'm going to win. I'm going to get enlightened before you. And anyway, Will and I have a lot in common. I haven't met a faster mountain biker downhill than this guy. He's extremely hard to keep up with on the downhill. I can kick his ass on the uphill, but he destroys me on the downhill. Anyway, he is a psychiatrist here in Boulder, an integrative psychiatrist, and he's a pioneer. He's been on the podcast before in the early episodes. We did one on depression, I think, in your relationship, and MDMA as an alternative to healing your relational wounds and traumas and injuries. And Will and I have also been through many, many journeys together and crazy experiences together. And I have so much love for these three men. And I talk to these guys almost on a daily basis because they're that vital to my life. And I'm going to leave it there. I could say so much, but I want to get you right into it here. All right. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to dive right in. So let's do this. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Welcome. Hey, how's it going?
Good. Can we all introduce ourselves?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to start.
Yeah.
Why don't you take us away here?
Okay. I'm Jayson Gaddis, a dad of two, husband, and founder of the Relationship School, and friend to these characters right here.
I'm Keith Kurlander, and I'm the CEO of Higher Practice, and I'm soon to be a dad, and also been friends with these guys for well over a decade now.
I'm Reuvain Bacal. I'm a coach, therapist, father, and husband, land steward, and facilitator of evolutionary men's work, men's groups, and year-long men's tribes.
I'm Will Vanderveer. I'm a psychiatrist. I run the Integrative Psychiatric Healing Center in Boulder. I have a 16-year-old daughter from a previous marriage. I'm in a new relationship, and I'm excited to be here. Thanks for calling this together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of Keith and I's intention was to just get together and hang out and record it and see if this was useful for people. I just think so many times the four of us are talking and connecting, and I wish the world could hear what we talk about and how we're helping ourselves and our families and other people. It's really powerful. So
Yeah, and one of my intentions, my audience is all mostly practitioners and therapists like us in the room. We've got that background, and so one of my intentions here is just to expose like what does really close community look like.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to just add one more thing to that. One of my passions is teaching physicians, and I think one of the big things I bump up against, and I saw it this morning when I was down at the medical school teaching residents, is just the isolation that psychiatrists and physicians in general just have in their lives, and that having a crew like this is such a rare thing anywhere. But part of my mission is to deliver the knowledge that this can happen for people who are in the medical profession as well. So psyched to have that opportunity.
Yeah, I can piggyback on that. Like one of the things that inspires me so much is bringing men together and helping them get connected to each other, build community, have people in their lives who really care, just really give a shit about them, and show up for each other and help them grow, help each other grow, and see what's going on that's getting in the way for them, so they can just be a more helpful, useful person on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that you guys, do that, and the way you do it. It's powerful. And we all have sat together in circles many times, right?
Oh yeah.
Dealing with ourselves and each other, and not doing the silo thing. Lone wolf vibe that so many men especially do, it seems like.
Yeah. I think I have a good first question related to all this for us, which is, why does community matter for healing and personal growth here for each of us, and how has it helped us? And that could be taken anywhere. It could be neuroscience. It could be whatever it is. I'm just really curious where everyone's at with that. Why does community matter so much?
Yeah, I like the starting point of like, why does it matter for us? And then how do we see it mattering for others?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, what jumps off the bat is just when my house burned down in that 4-mile fire in 2010, and the way that my people showed up for me. I went straight to your house and just set up the basement.
Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
and just and then the way the bigger Boulder community showed up and held us, set up like a free thrift shop immediately. And my wife and I just went through there and just picked stuff we needed, whatever we wanted. It was amazing, incredible, concrete example.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and you had done a lot ahead of time to set those kind of relationships up, right?
Right. For sure. Yeah. And it's funny because we were in a conversation about whether we were going to move to Hawaii right at that time. And then it was like, oh, wow, we invested more than 10 years to get to this point, to have this kind of support. It's like, whoa, we don't take that for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's been I think it's kind of twofold for me. It's just being held and supported and knowing I've got a group of people out there that have my back and really feel like I can do anything in this world because I've got a group of people with me, and I'm not on an island. And then, so that's kind of the supportive nature. And also for my history with kind of complex trauma, it's just what I've realized is the healing of complex trauma happens in relationship to other people. And, so that's been a big component. And then the other side of it all for me is that it's this is where I get challenged, is in community. And, I have a lot of blind spots, and you guys are all here watching me and telling me when I'm not seeing something. And so community's been really helpful for both feeling really nurtured and also staying in the game repeatedly.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I feel similarly, and I'd also say that what I value most in life is evolution, expanding my consciousness, growth, and community really helps me see myself and see when I'm stuck or I'm fooling myself or I'm missing something, so that I can be more clear, more awake, more aware of what's actually going on. So that's how I want to live. That's how I want to be. And my friends, my community help me in that way. So that balance of challenge and support, I get to feel held and part of something, and not alone, and also challenged to be my best and see what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. This is Jason talking. I have always had, quote, lots of friends, but as the years have gone on and as I cared more about the depth of the friendships and how you guys are talking about how I'm held and how I'm challenged has made all the difference for me. Helped me through some of the darkest times and also called BS on me when I was kidding myself, All you guys have actually done that for me. And it's uncomfortable when you do that. And it's so helpful because I think my history is I fooled everybody into thinking I was a certain way and I had it all together. And so no one really challenged me. Mm-hmm. And I set it up that way because I was scared and defended. So to finally have just a few people like you three, especially in my life, it's enormously valuable.
Yeah, I'm glad you're in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I also like what that brings up for me too is just how my community is continually pruned. And, there's friendships, relationships over the years that just disappear, that they're not in service on both ends. They just don't serve anymore. And so my understanding of community now is more mature, of like, I don't have to maintain friendships that don't serve my life.
Yeah.
And that's taken some time to understand.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really resonated so deeply for me when I learned from one of my teachers, this is Reuvain speaking, that we're not committed. A lot of times we're not committed to somebody or relationship. We're committed to our highest values. And if the relationship serves our highest values, then we're committed to it. And I feel very much that way in my life. And I feel that this is why I'm committed to these relationships here in this room with you guys, is really help me live in what I value the most. And so I feel so committed to these relationships.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think for me the deepest connections, which is this is where I feel it, and this is Will talking, the four of us, is having bros who stand for my awakening or my evolution as much as I stand for my own evolution, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And that's just such a powerful crucible for growing up. And that's something that I don't think I ever had as a kid. Someone who stood for me as much as I stand for myself. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in these intimate relationships, we can stand for each other's value. Like I could stand for what your values are, Jason, for you. And mine are different, but you could stand for me and mine.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be in the same value system.
That's right.
To be friends or to love each other or support and challenge each other.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Super powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I heard you talking, this is Reuvain again, to me that's what love is wanting the best for the other person, whether you agree with them or not, and acting on that, taking action. And that's what I experience from you guys regularly in our relationships, just loving me that way, so wanting my highest, wanting my evolution, wanting what I value for me, because you care. That means a lot.
I'm curious, just to build off this a little, what allows us to connect this way? And it seems rare. Just going to go out on a limb there. And I'm curious what allows it. And also, like, we've been through conflict, all of us, with each other. And I'm curious if we can dip into that a little bit. Like, what allows us to go there in terms of our depth and the level of kind of supporting each other, even if we're different, and also working through difficulties.
I like that question.
Yeah, what I love about our group is that we've all had different paths, but they overlap quite a bit, it seems. And for me, what's allowed me to, go deep in this group is that it's similar to what Will and Reuvain, what you guys said about values. I think it has to do with just an incredible pursuit of personal and spiritual development in continually looking for what's real in that pursuit and shedding away anything that doesn't fit any longer, and going to new paradigms whenever needed, and not getting boxed in. I don't experience any of you or myself as getting boxed into a paradigm that doesn't fit. So there's some way that this group particularly serves me in that regard. And then also that I've experienced with all of you that you're all willing to be very loving and caring and also challenging. So that I think that level of heart and love is what allows me to stay committed, just like with my wife, where it's like I'm in this, and it's a commitment, and I'm securely attached here, which is how I would really define it for myself. So there's an attachment here that just feels really stable and secure, and I'm psyched what's being given and what's being received.
I'm going to kind of summarize it in the way it looks to me is like trust / safety in the emotionally in our relationships, shared values, and willingness and capacity to give and receive challenge and love. There might be a thing or two that I'm missing, but that's what looks like the essence of it right at the moment.
Yeah, and a willingness to look at oneself in the mirror. I think we've all I know you guys have given me some challenging feedback over the years, and each of our capacity to go, okay, let me try that on. What fits here, what doesn't? And again, the power of having more than one,
right,
is that there's multiple eyes on my shadow and my shit, and so I can't always spot it.
And when you hear three guys all saying the same thing, yeah, dude, that's what's going on. Then it's like, oh, all right, you got me on that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also having extra pairs of eyes on a conflict that we might be having, two of us might be having with each other.
Yeah.
Like, guys, I need you to, witness this. I'm going out on a limb here. I think this might be happening, and because that provides the safety for me as well to feel the courage to go out and, give difficult feedback or share a projection or.
Because there's a bigger container holding that interaction.
Yeah. Yeah, that helps.
It does.
Yeah. And I think it's part of what you were saying is just a commitment to truth and love and a willingness to receive that reflection. And and I think some of the experiences that we've had have also glued us together. Some of the teachers that we've,
for sure,
right.
And I don't know if we want to talk about, that or not today, but I think we have a certain shared language that has evolved over the years from shared experiences.
Shared language, understanding, kind of view and perspective. Yeah. Consciousness, you could call it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have crazy memories with all of you from the depths of an experience or two,
Right.
Or really hard times or, so that, you're right, that adversity, and being willing to stay in it, stay in that fire.
Yeah. I want to speak to Jayson, you mentioned conflict and or challenge. Really quick, fast story. I think that's really useful is, when I was really suffering in my bipolarity, found a paradigm in psychiatry that kind of got me through a period of it. But eventually I kind of went pretty numb, essentially, and I didn't know it. And it took Jayson and Will separately, independently, sitting down saying, like, I don't know where you are. I don't feel you anymore. Are you still here? Are you still going after growth? What's going on? And, that was like what I needed to hear at that moment to get back in the seat.
Mm-hmm.
So it was it was hard medicine to hear that from both of you. And it was like, that was the medicine I needed at the time. So like, that's an example for me of the level of just watching after each other and also like saying something that is hard to say.
Yeah. I wonder along those lines if it would be helpful, instructive for people listening, for each of us to share like something we've been called out.
Get
on.
After it,
right?
You're up.
Yeah, you're up.
Not comfortable territory to share about, but you guys call me on stuff regularly. Probably most recently, or one thing that's standing out to me right now is just how I can get like complacent and disengaged sometimes in my relationship with my wife, and not take full engaged responsibility for what's going on and outcomes that I might not be happy with, and you just call me out on that, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right, that's what's going on, and then I step in better, once you've helped me see what's going on. So that's incredibly valuable for me. I don't know where I'd be without those kinds of challenges and pointing out things, So thank you guys. Keep doing it.
For sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example, so I'm needing a minute if you got one.
I'm trying to think of one too. One perspective I wanted to share while I'm thinking about it is not to try to divert or deflect here, but I just wanted to say...
We got our eye on you, Will.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not going to let you get away with that.
3 pairs of eyes on me here. Yeah. I have a feeling if I get too strung out on my chain, you guys will pull me back here. I wanted to share my experience of what you were just talking about, Keith, because it was really scary for me to show up that way with you, and it felt like it was really important to honor you that way, to actually give you my perspective, which I didn't really perceive it as the truth with a capital T, but it was definitely something that was very strong in my experience of not feeling you. And I remember going to that conversation thinking, well, this could be the end of our relationship, Mm-hmm. I mean, he might not want to be in relationship with me anymore. And it came to a point where I realized, like, I actually wouldn't be loving you if I didn't show up that way.
Yeah.
And I knew that I did love you. And so I was willing to take the risk of losing, my fantasy.
Yeah. I was going to say that was mostly your fantasy.
Yeah.
I don't tend to say goodbye.
Yeah. I figured it was
the
my
important
fantasy,
thing, though, I think, is that you were
I was really feeling that.
Right.
And I was willing to take that risk.
I'm glad you took that risk.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a big risk for you.
Well, it helped me to, as I crossed that threshold with you, it took me deeper into my commitment to you as a friend, and to where I felt like I could actually stand even more for you than I knew I had the capacity for before that. So that was a really powerful threshold for me. And I feel like it actually paved the way for me to be able to do more of that with other people, to be able to do that with you. So I want to thank you for that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That registers a lot over here with showing up for you in that way, and how that's eventually connecting to my love and care for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's not uncommon, I think, in our interactions with each other where somebody's got something to bring to the other person, and there might be at least a little bit of tentativeness, but we do it anyway. It's like, oh, this guy's not going to like this, or I'm worried about how he's going to respond,
right?
But we bring it anyway.
Yeah.
And I can hardly remember a time when the person who received it didn't express gratitude right away. Oh, thank you. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm going to look into that, and thank you for saying that to me.
Yeah.
I got one here. And it was buying my house.
Oh, yeah. That was fun.
You guys we're all homeowners before me.
That's right.
And just last year I bought a house, and I was playing it safe, renting for years. And, there's a whole argument that could be made about buying versus renting. And I went down that road many times. At the end of the day, though, for my development, for who I am, it was the necessary, and my wife, it was a necessary step in our growth, and it was something we needed and wanted to do. But it took you all three of you, challenging me, specifically you two, around, dude, what, you really want to rent more? And like there was an enabling, you were calling me out on, in a way, enabling, being enabled in a certain way. And and then all along the process, you guys were all there for me around the process, because I never had done it before, and it was like totally green. So that was extremely helpful, and I'm super grateful because I'm in an awesome house and we love it, and great location. And I think honestly, if I didn't have you guys in my life, I could have put this off for a couple more years.
Sure. Yeah.
I was comfortable. So you guys helped me not be comfortable. Helped me keep growing.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually really love, like, very related to that, how we all have continually challenged each other around our relationship to money, and growing there and maturing there, and being there for each other around that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big one.
That's a good one.
Are you up
one.
there, Will?
I have one.
Okay, Will's back up.
So I've been going through a divorce, and as I kind of started to see the end of my 20-year marriage last year, you guys were all there for me. I mean, I was relying especially on you two guys, but I mean, you were in there too. And I mean, it was just day by day by day showing up for me, challenging me, supporting me, loving me, being at the intensive with this, big time couples baller in California, and like 911 to you guys, I need a video call, right? I need a FaceTime right now. Yeah. And you were there like 10 minutes later. I mean, and a lot of that value for me wasn't the support, it was the challenge around like, it sounds like you're abandoning yourself here. It sounds like you're stepping back again from the precipice that I needed to open up my wings and fly from. So you guys were instrumental in helping me to get to where I need to get with my clarity there.
Yeah.
And it was painful.
And you kept being receptive, which was cool.
It's great. You kept coming back and listening and taking it in and sitting with yourself. And it was beautiful to watch you. I mean, you worked that relationship. You really went in there and worked it.
Yeah, and then you came back out and would kind of do your thing of like defending or justifying. No, guys, it's cool. And we'd come back in slowly and gently, like, well, hold on.
Right. True.
So I just love how you stayed in that fire. And, it's cool. You also were like, which is also what we do well for each other, is sometimes give space. Like, hey, guys, this is kind of my journey to make right now. I need to wrestle with this. And it's like, cool. Like there was a couple moments where you needed to not get so much external feedback is what I remember.
Yeah.
And to go deep inside and then come out. And it was really amazing to watch, be a part of.
I want to just comment on this apparent dichotomy between support and challenge. is the way I experience it, and I think the way each of the four of us experience it in our relationships, is that the challenge is also support.
Yeah.
I feel so supported by you guys when you're challenging me.
Yeah.
Because that's what I need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like people get stuck afraid, stuck in over support and not having challenge be a part of their friend circle or friendships. And I think we're really highlighting that here for the listener, that how vital challenge is to keep relationships alive and awake and engaged.
Yeah, where I'm going with the challenge support and what keeps coming up here in this conversation is love. And I'm just so curious for us to play with the moment. What is love? How are we defining love as individuals right now in our life? Because I think that there's so many fairy tales and fantasies and all kinds of messages about what love is. And I think we're kind of dancing around love here right now and what that might be and how we're defining it. So I'm just curious about that. Are you guys up for that?
Yeah, I'm
Great.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a short one for me. It's what we're talking about is this is how we love each other, and we challenge and support each other. And I think a lot of people get stuck in love equals support, and that's not my reality. So I feel loved up constantly by you guys challenging me and my wife. And so that's love for me, challenge and support.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say something like acting in our best attempts to support the other person's highest expression or their what's best for them, which may be uncomfortable for me to give, or it may end up some kind of downsides for me, or even as you were saying before, Will, like even could end the relationship between me and you. But if I see that this is a service that you need and I offer that, like that's an act of love. To me, love is it's a verb. It's the action of trying to serve your highest as I perceive it.
For me, yeah, I would say, my definition includes everything that was just said. And there's something about love being accessed universally. There's no limitation to love. It doesn't reside inside of me. It's just something accessible, and that it's not one-sided reality. So like you were saying, Jason, of love can be defined by a lot of people as more support and challenge. And I'm like, no, it's just this accessible energy that has an evolutionary purpose in it. And it's got both sides of the coin. It's got the challenge, it's got the support, it's got the conflict, it's got the communion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that piece you added around that. It's just what is. Love is what is. Like, to me, I could say that seems to be the underlying order of everything, underlying order of the universe. To me, seems to be love, unitive love, non-duality, and that has a creative intention or something like that.
Yeah, that's the piece I was going to add to it, is the creative piece. I feel like there's a kind of a generative impulse that love has to create, and it sort of in relationship, it shows up for me in the way that I listen to you guys. Like I'm listening for the places where there might be a blind spot, or there's a way that I can add value or check what you're saying against what you've told me your values are, or where you're trying to go. And there's a way that sort of that process creates a new reality. And it's the same for me and my intentions. Like one of the things that's been happening here recently in our conversation is challenges I have with hiring people in my business. And the ways that I'm struggling with that, and that you're giving me challenge and support around that, is creating, it's like helping me to create what my purpose and my mission are in the world. And so there's this way that love, I feel like, has this desire to produce something new that's a benefit, to the world in a different way, in a new way. And I think that's something that all of us are. When I look around, I see how committed we all are to bearing fruit, for our beings to bear fruit in the world. Like, we're all creating something new and different that hasn't been seen before.
Big time. Yeah. That's a big service,
Yeah. And I think something that's special about the people, you guys, us guys, is that we're not just living for ourselves to just get more better stuff for ourselves. But the focus is really about service and generativity and creation and being, at least I'll just start speaking for myself. I want to be a useful, helpful person. That's more important to me than just getting more stuff, more money, more power, or whatever. So that's what really lights me up. It's like, how can I be helpful? And you guys help me be helpful.
Yeah, you so are that. You're so useful and helpful in my life.
You too, man. Big time.
Yeah.
I like hearing that, just from you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Marriage. Can we go marriage?
Yeah, let's go marriage.
Partnership.
New relationship.
New partnership guy.
Yeah.
We've all got some street cred here in terms of long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious for the listener. The podcast, my podcast, the Smart Couple podcast, is all about partnership, long-term relationship especially. I'm curious just what comes up for you guys when you hear the word marriage or partnership, long-term. And given how we've seen each other through so much of that.
Well, I want to say I love my wife. Is what first comes up for me. Because she has been by far probably probably the most instrumental person in my own personal growth, in terms of continually loving me and pushing me to rise to the next level in my life. So, to really sum it up quick for me, marriage is definitely about secure attachment for me. That was a value of mine, and we got there. And that, I think, is a huge accomplishment for any couple, to truly get to a secure attachment, and it's a spectrum. And then also, for me, marriage, my value around marriage is that I'm with a person who is really going to be there to be a teammate. And, we're a team, and we have different paths that we can support each other in, but we're going to call out each other's shit every single day is what it turned out to be. So I don't think a day has ever gone by where there wasn't a moment of somebody calling something out and working through really hard stuff and learning how to do conflict, and just, it still hurts, but learning how to do conflict in a really graceful way.
Mm-hmm.
That was Keith, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I love watching your relationship over time. It's amazing.
It's also been just such a joy to have you guys as a couple friend that are.
Yeah.
We have there's a lot going on in this room with couples, but my wife Emma is best friends with Jason's wife Ellen, and so we just spent a lot of time together here. Yeah. In this whole room, a lot of couple dynamics going on here.
Oh yeah.
Who's up?
Well, I can speak to speaking from the new relationship, new partnership dynamic. This is Will speaking. I'm just starting to kind of feel some of the rumblings of secure functioning in my life, and it's amazing to see what comes up and what gets in the way of that. I don't know if we want to get into that in this conversation, but for me, it's discovering that there's a whole world of being able to relax into someone having my back as much as I have theirs, and as much as I have my own. And so I was speaking earlier in here about our circle of the same dynamic that I feel in my new relationship of that we can do more than I can is a phrase that keeps coming up for us. Mm-hmm. And I made a comment to her recently that I really wish I could see my blind spots before she could see them. And she said, I love her response was, well, where would that leave me? Like, I want to be the one who adds that value for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's wild.
That's a cool way to look
hear
at
that,
mm-hmm.
you know? Yeah.
Yes, Reuvain over here. Yeah, we're working towards secure functioning. That's just something that only consciously got on the menu for me in the last couple of years. And it's been challenging. It hasn't been easy. And man, my relationship is, like you said, Keith, for me too, is the greatest support vehicle of my consciousness and growth that I have. Because she's with me every day, my wife, and so she's seeing all the ways that I get out of alignment with myself, or out of integrity with my behavior, or just not being in my best, or if I'm not being kind or in my heart or whatever. It's like she can just see it and smell it a mile away, and she's happy to tell me about it right away, every time. And so this is a process of just opening to that more and more, and embracing that, and appreciating that, and also feeling healthy doses of challenge in there, and just trying to bring it increasingly to a place of just secure functioning, feeling just really emotionally safe and relaxed with each other, and just more and more just trying to find the enjoyment and ease and flow, and that's we're not two people who just very easily and naturally flow together. So it really makes me work, and through that work I achieve more and more mastery, and it's really earned. So I'm still earning my way.
Yeah, earning your stripes over there.
Yeah, earning a lot of stripes. Sometimes I don't want to have to earn so many stripes.
Yeah.
I'm sure nobody out there can relate to that.
Right. Yeah, it's cool to watch you busting your ass over there. Like
working
that.
hard.
I think we've all reflected that back to you many times in the last month or two, just how on it you are, and just with your new tenacity and just ferocity around really caring about this part of your life in a whole new way. It's really inspiring.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for me, I have a great marriage, and I've worked really hard for that, and you guys have helped me through many times when it wasn't so easy. Yeah, especially in the early days when it was kind of one big fight. But yeah, I feel just deeply grateful for her. Like you, Keith, I feel like she's the single greatest teacher / influencer on my life and my development. And I'm amazed every day that I get to share my life with this woman and parenting and just the magic in her home. So I wish that for the listener and for people that want it, just how we can have it. We just need to work at it and learn how and remember how, however you want to see it. But yeah, and we still have plenty of challenges, but we have that home base, that's like a resource for us. Yo guys, quick interruption from our sponsor, the Relationship School. For the men out there, I've got a free class I want you to check out. jasongaddis.com/men, MEN. Okay, this is for men only. And it's all about deepening your relationships, getting sexually empowered, and meeting your life like a warrior. jasongaddis.com/MEN. Go check it out now. I hope you enjoy this free class. And let's get back to my friends Keith, Reuvain, and Will.
You ready for a little shift?
Yeah, and I want these guys to ask us, come up with a question for us too.
Yeah, there was something that was on my mind.
If you have one.
Yeah, which is to talk about inspiration. Such a big theme in my life and my work with men. And I don't know, is that something you guys are interested in talking about now?
Okay.
Great. So inspiration's the headline?
Yeah, the headline is inspiration. Like, what role does inspiration play in your lives? What inspires you the most? And what you're doing about it.
Who's inspired?
Well, I feel, you guys are looking at me. I'm feeling a lot of inspiration right now, especially in this new partnership and new changes in my business and what I'm doing differently, how I'm helping people differently, and getting into developing things with you, Keith, and other areas of business. And I think a lot of the roots of my inspiration come out of my own experience, is what I found. The challenges that I've faced around kind of unpacking my personality and freeing myself from the programming that I experienced as a kid have just lit a fire under me to help other people get there too, to put it simply. So I feel just deeply inspired to root out new ways of getting free and to vet them and to deliver them on a big impact level. So I have one of the things that comes up for me around inspiration is the blocks and the resistances and the ways I fall asleep and the psychological defenses against following my inspiration, all the stories about that. So that's juicy material for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to the inspiration around coming up with new vehicles, new ways of helping people get free. Yeah, that's something that inspires me a lot. I'm inspired by doing that on my land, just bringing people into, on our land and bringing them into contact with each other and using the group as an organism of designed to help each other get free, utilizing our awareness and perceptions of each other, and in the same way that we do, us here in this room with each other, to be doing that with a group of bros, to help them get free, and somehow bring all that into be held by being on the earth together and connected with the land. For some reason, just super inspires me.
Hell yeah. When you say free, can you just, for the listener, can you say what you mean by that?
Yeah, just not held back by and run by old conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So being free of conditioning, being free to express and reveal, express, be who you really are.
Cool. And
not just run by conditioning from the past.
Yeah, zombified
Conditioning. And I'll just say also, I really, really love helping people see the matrix of their functioning. You know, like the movie The Matrix, and you start seeing all the numbers that make up the reality, or the irreality, I should say, the conditioning. And Neo starts to see, he sees the whole framework of the irreality of the conditioning. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, so like that, I like seeing it and then helping other people see what they're living in that's not real, that's not who they are, and that's holding them back and holding them down, and just to see that and then be able to see how to open the prison cell doors, you know, and step out and be like, take a breath, enjoy, hear the birds, you know. It's like, this is what it is to be a person without that stuff. That just lights me up.
Yeah.
Nice.
You guys are all really good at that. I feel like we all have that sort of superpower, helping people see that.
Yeah.
I liked how you articulated that too.
Yeah, I'm appreciating, Reuvain, that you bring this word up, inspiration. It's been in my awareness, like kind of beating down in my awareness for a little while now. And as you were talking, what I realized, I kind of saw something at the end of when you were talking, which is that I'm so hungry around my own personal growth and spiritual growth, but it's actually not that inspiring to me. Like, it's kind of like at the end of the day, it's like I'm not that important to myself. Like, I care about myself, but it's not filling me with inspiration to focus on myself that much. It's just a big hunger in me. And my inspiration is around being a supportive change agent in the world, and really sharing what I've learned and helping people in the process of their own transformation and reaching their own potential. And, you know, that's what I get out of bed and open my eyes about, at least at the top of the list. There's other things close to it. But so, yeah, it's a cool little distinction that just kind of came through this for me, which is like my own growth is, I have such a strong hunger around it, but it's that inspiring to me. It's really about the growth around me that inspires me.
I completely relate to that. Yeah. As I'm turning 50 this year, and who knows how much of my life I have left, I'm just so much less interested in just me and me growing, and so much more interested in like a legacy of, you know, helpfulness, and like, how can I help people be more awake, live better lives, like have better relationships? Hell yeah, that's what I'm after.
Yeah, thanks for the question. A lot's inspiring to me. My wife, my family, kids, my work, my mission. I feel very inspired right now. And that's what keeps me burning through the blocks and all the fears and the whatever the hell's in my way of myself, so that I can reach people, reach more people. And my students inspire me, and they definitely call me forward, in a big way to clarify or to show up even bigger and wider. So, yeah, I'm inspired by a lot. And then there's just the simple sunset and a bird in the backyard and the reflection on my daughter's face, or, all that magic. Yeah.
You've got a great daughter.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I feel like all of us do have these bright beings. You got one in the oven.
Yep. She's coming. You got something, Will? I've got something, but let's see if you've got something topic-wise.
Well, I think one thing that we talk a lot about in here is business, and that's, growing and developing as business owners and leaders, and expanding our impact is one thing that's up for me in here, and a big part of the present exploration and conversation with you guys, and how to go beyond the limits in my mind about what I'm capable of, and who I can influence, and how many people I can influence. But I'd love to hear what you have to say too.
Let's stick with that first.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a question about that.
Yeah.
What you just mentioned is how do you work with your mind and yourself with your perceived limitations as you're getting fired up about your business and mission?
That's a great question. There's so many different ways that I get into that. I mean, one is certainly this vessel here of friendship and our threads of conversation is huge for me, just on a very practical, earthy level. Sharing blocks or thoughts or dead ends or failures or whatever has come up is huge for me, hugely advancing to what I'm trying to do. I think my rekindling my meditation practice, and as a kind of New Year's resolution that I've been doing, 5 months in now, has felt great to open my mind up to the possibilities of what's coming through. I think setting goals with you guys and receiving the accountability that you guys reflect back to me when I fall down about things that I commit myself to do and then I don't do. Mm-hmm. It's really helpful. And I think the rest of it is coming in the form of conversations in my new relationship around who am I now and what's my desire? What's my desire to create? I'm still refining that and getting more and more strong and clear in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And is there a specific question or for us around business that you're most curious about?
I get curious about, you guys, the two of you guys especially, and you as well, have transitioned out of what you were trained to do as therapists and basically become entrepreneurs, as I see it.
Yeah.
And I know you've talked about this a lot, Jason, but I'm curious about how would you answer the question right now in a short time frame of how did you do that, or what had you? I understand the inspiration part, but the hard part for me is how did you actually do it? I mean, how did that happen? What was it? Just a daily discipline of getting in there? I mean, is that what it was, or it was probably more than that? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you'd say, but for me, it's I had to have that spark, of that you guys all have, which is reaching more people, helping more people. How can I help more people? How can I help? How can I be of service here? And I felt caged in by my psychotherapy practice, and I was tired of repeating myself, and so that was the initial impulse. Was I think I can do this in a more effective way where I'm not trading time for dollars. And so that's when I started going online more and teaching classes and doing more groups, men's groups. And then that was holy shit, there's way more possible here. And then I actually wasn't thinking, okay, cool, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I still was maybe resistant of that, but I eventually started seeing all the blocks to, the claim was, I want to help more people and I'm going to do all this, but the behavior wasn't really matching that. So I had to start to get really honest about where my limitations were and weaknesses and started working on those. And then I realized, I think at a certain point, I was like, oh, I guess this is being an entrepreneur. This is kind of the deal. Learning everything, wearing too many hats, doing it all, trying to figure it out. Because I believe in my idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was anchored and tethered to the big idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more, but that's a short version.
Yeah, this is Keith. Yeah, I would say it's a really great question too. I had a thriving private practice, but I didn't actually see myself as a thriving business owner. I didn't even see myself that much as a business owner, even though I was. It just didn't register that way for me. And I think what was going on for me now, as I reflect back in time, is that I didn't respect business or money. I actually disrespected business and money. I actually looked down and frowned upon business. That I laid some kind of spiritual message, something on it. I projected something on business and money that it's important to devalue it to some degree in order to evolve. So something shifted in me like 5 years ago where I went through a major transformation where I was like, actually, I extremely value business and I do value earning a fair exchange for my service because I want to reach as many people as I can while I'm alive because I believe in what I have to offer. And as soon as that shift happened to me, I saw myself as a business owner, but also as an entrepreneur. And that's where then I went and created Higher Practice and the vision came through. And then ever since then, it's been the grind of, the entrepreneurial path for me and most entrepreneurs I've ever spoken to is it's like a second marriage. It's a incredible grind. And there's the first number of years is most people don't make it through those.
90%.
Right. So a lot of those marriages fail because the grind takes so much persistence. And the thing I had going for me is I've told this to you before, Will, like I'll sit in front of a computer for, 10 hours a day for 5 years. That's one trait I have that helps me. My trait that hurts me is I'll sit in front of a computer for 5 years for 10 hours and I'll do things that aren't that effective. So I've had a big learning curve there, but yeah, I think, the entrepreneurial path, like my experience now is what I understand is, there's no shortcuts. There's no, fast road to getting that vision to a reality. It's like a long, slow, steady race of bringing a vision and getting disciplined and learning the mindset, which is, I think, ultimately what creates successful businesses is learning the mindset and disciplining oneself to be an entrepreneur and a business owner. But without that mindset, there could be a lot of great visions and they never come into the world fully.
Business is definitely a path.
It's a grind. I think it's a incredible and hard and fast spiritual path. Personally, that's been my experience. I've grown so much from trying to grow a business.
Yep.
So thanks for that question, Will.
Mm-hmm.
With the Higher Practice podcast, my work is all about it's a lot about the mind and about human potential. And I was listening recently to your last interview, Jason, with Dan Siegel.
Yeah. And
he said something important, which I've known for a while, which is like the mental health field doesn't really have a definition of mental health. And that's a very important statement. And so my kind of thing I just want to throw out here is like, what is a healthy mind? How do we view that? And then what is the spectrum of a mind that isn't well? And how do we view that? And I'm just really curious about that right now in myself and like what does it even mean to have a healthy mind?
It's a great question. I like it.
Anybody up?
Well, I'm with Dan in that to answer that question, we got to talk about, well, what is the mind and what is health? But if we skip that and just go listen to that podcast.
Yeah, let's kind of skip that because, well, and plus
he could go
it's so,
on for days on that, and
it's so intense. It's amazing.
And it's amazing.
But what if we keep it simple?
Yeah, we'll keep it
kind of
simple.
contain the
Totally.
mind
Cool.
as kind of the thinking body for the moment.
Yeah. I don't know, actually. I just know, like, what I'll say in this moment is, for me, with my own mind, is it's one that's focused and clear, and able to do complex thinking and tasks, and also hold the awareness of other in the midst of stress, and also hold oneself in the midst of stress. So it seems like it's something to do with resiliency and the capacity to tolerate stress and differing values and opinions and ideas and beliefs, and be able to also simultaneously like stay focused on my highest value or what I care about most. Again, while considering other. Just taking a stab at that in a moment.
I like all that. I'll just add something to it. Which is healthy mind to me perceives wholeness and interconnectedness. Actually perceives that. It's not a thought, it's a perception. That everything is connected and everything is one whole thing. And whether it's the earth, my body, other people, that we're all like interconnected inherently and all part of one thing. And then when we have that, a healthy mind has that perception, then the behavior acts in accordance with that perception. And the action then is love and care and compassion and consideration and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good one. Yeah, I like that. You have something to add, Keith?
Oh, I'll go. You got one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in my work with heavily traumatized people, I mean, I really like what you said, Jason, about resilience and the interconnectivity, Reuvain. And I'll just say that another piece is, and you might speak to this too, but the form and the content of thinking, I think, is something that I look at a lot in terms of healthy minds, and how polarized is a person's thinking, or how obsessive is their thinking, or how much room is there in their thinking, how creative can they be, how free can they be of their thinking, how attached they are to their identity or their roles, which speaks to the resilience thing. I think if I'm very attached to my role as a doctor and then I can't be a doctor anymore, then I'm screwed,
Mm-hmm.
I have a mental breakdown or something. So I think, to me, something about like being aware of the qualities of myself as opposed to the roles that I play. Like, am I generous? Am I kind? Am I compassionate? Am I fierce? Am I strong? Am I whatever? Versus I'm in this role, and I'm in this role, and I'm in this role, and I'm in this role. And as long as I have my roles, I'm okay. Seems to be a problem that I encounter a lot in my patients. So,
and that all of the things you've all said definitely lands for me and fits for me. And a couple little distinctions for me is I would use definitely the word organization, that a mind that is well organized versus very disorganized can lead to health as well as flexibility, from being able to focus and being able to be very spacious in the mind. So I think what I've seen with people over the years is if they can only be focused, they can get obsessive. And if they're obsessing about content that causes them pain, then that's a problem. And people that are overly spacious and can't focus often can't get things done in the world. So I think this level of flexibility, organization, and then, like everything else everybody has said, it's really working definition here, obviously.
Yeah, I love that. There's something I just thought of with you guys all saying is, for me, I think I left this message the other day to you guys. If I didn't, I'll say it again, which is, if I care about something, I'm organized there. And when I don't care about something, I'm disorganized there. And so for me, like the mind, or something I really connected with there about being organized, an organized mind. And under stress, like how can I actually organize my mind, organize my thoughts? So I really like that, what you said.
I want to add one thing. I don't know if somebody named it or not, but it's like balance, a balanced mind. And specifically, I'm thinking about a balanced perception of events. And that if I'm perceiving things to be more bad than good, more downsides and upsides, and I'm going to suffer. I'm going to feel bad. I'm going to cause, there's going to be pain, unnecessary pain and distortion. But if my mind is able to look to and recognize a balance of upsides and downsides, of good and bad, you could say, and then I'm going to feel balanced and at peace and not be causing suffering for myself. So that seems like an important aspect of a healthy mind. It's a capacity to recognize and perceive balance and balance.
Yeah, I'm not going to expand too deep on this, but just from what you're saying, I think there's definitely a component to a healthy relationship to time, past, present, and future, and how the narratives and perceptions are created about the past, and how the expectations and fantasies are created about the future, and about how the present moment is perceived. And I think there's a lot to be explored there about what a healthy, vibrant, clear mind looks like there versus a mind that is in a lot of conflict.
It seems like most people are in a lot of conflict because they perceive things as bad or good, one-sidedly bad or good, and then they're just very upset about the bad things and elated or manic or infatuated with the things they perceive as good, and then they're not aware that the other side is present there too, and then when the other side comes, kind of smacks them in the face. So that I just see that every day, the people I work with.
Yeah.
I think there's also that component that's an essential quality of that is having self-reflection, being able to say, wait a second, I'm caught in a polarity here, I'm caught in a negative perception, and to be able to shift and begin to see an opportunity where you saw a problem before is a really important quality, I think, of a healthy mind.
I just want to acknowledge, like we're talking about, just for the listener again, is there's a way in which we're talking about a high level view. And I just want to acknowledge, like, we've all studied with like masters around that just gave us this incredible view of life and how to see the world and life is trustworthy. And we all, each in our own way, shared that along our journey and had different teachers and similar teachers and the same teachers and mentors. And that's really powerful. Just part of not only our history together, but it also informs how we work with ourselves and other people. So I just want to name that's kind of here. Mm-hmm. And it's a really big part of how we operate and how we help others too.
Yeah. It's so clear to me that the way that you look at something makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that the listener can be inspired to embrace views of life and of themselves in relationships that make a difference, that uplift things. Because if you have that view, then everything can come together a lot more easily. If you don't have a supportive or accurate view of what's going on, then it just can be really struggling a lot.
Yeah, and one of those big downloads, from the teachers that we've studied with, I think is also around perception of reality, like how we perceive reality, and also like specifically the victim position of feeling like you're under the wheel of life or at the effect of whatever's in front of you. And I think one of the most powerful themes that I've seen in all of us over the years of knowing each other is stepping more out of the victim position and taking self-responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. And not self-responsibility in a silo as a lone wolf, but being able to engage and receive support from that perspective of self, that it is up to me. If I want to have a big impact in the world, it's up to me, It's so huge, and it's so easy to slip into that place of feeling like the world is doing something to you.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than giving you another lesson in how to be more powerful and more expressed.
Yeah, I mean, I would add to that in terms of like a view of what is a well mind and how to get there, because you have all seen me go into a very unwell mind historically, and my understanding now is that the only way to get to a fully vibrant, well mind is to know fully that the mind you're struggling with is your own, and you have to take full responsibility, 100% responsibility to go get yourself from the point you're in to the point you need to get to. And there's other people that can help. But if we're blaming the world, or we're blaming life, or we're blaming situations that happen to us, or any of that blame never gets us from point A to Z. It never gets us to wellness, because wellness is actually inside of us. And so I think that's just an important point after I heard you say that, Will, of like, the mind gets more well when we take more responsibility for it.
Right.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more likely to be integrated than, you're in charge.
It seems like a hard one for so many people in our world to get into that position, get past the victim mentality that people and things are doing it, making me responsible for making me unhappy, to shift from there to I'm in charge of my happiness or unhappiness, and it's not being done to me. My responsibility, and I can do something about it. It's empowering to have that view.
Yeah, it's life changing, big time.
Oh yeah,
it's essential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it's like a matter of, once that view is there, then it's a matter of catching yourself all the time where you're losing the view, and you're back in the blame and back in the victim and back in the disempowered experience inside yourself, because I still catch myself there every day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's like now I have the view, and I know, like, I've got the compass now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you have a shit ton of tools.
And I've got the tools to get myself back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you've got your bros who are going to hear any victim mentality and call it out. And you're like, oh, yeah, right. You get back into the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, this has been rich.
Very.
Guys.
Yeah, good stuff.
Really good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could have gone deeper on so many comments as well. I know we were intentionally listening without doing our typical line of questioning, with more questions and more questions to go deeper. So maybe we can play with that next time. But I appreciated, just the way we're doing it here.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks.
It's wonderful.
Grateful for you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling us together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about we do like just a closing round or something?
Let's do a closing round.
Something maybe you could offer the listener, or sort of parting wisdom from the wizard in your heart, or something like that.
Wizard in your heart. If the whole world was listening, What would you say?
Yeah.
I could start. Man, it seems critical to me to I make it high priority to identify what you value and care about, love the most in life. Most, second most, third most. And then take a look at how you're living and where are you out of alignment with what you value and love the most, and to choose to get more into alignment with what you love, value the most. And what that does, among other things, is inspire you. I'll speak for myself. It inspires me to the extent that I'm aligned with what I most love and value. And I want to be inspired. I want to live inspired. I want to wake up inspired every day, vitalized, alive, present, engaged, inspired, giving my greatest gifts as a contribution, as service to the people and world around me. And that's what I want other people to be doing, so it makes things good. So that's what I would offer to the listener, is to go after that.
Sweet.
Awesome. That was Reuvain. Yeah, this is Keith. I would say that any type of struggle or inner experience of limitation, that there are now tools accessible to pretty much everyone around the world on the internet for free, that we can literally, we're in an amazing time, we can literally get any tool we need to get in touch with deeper parts of ourselves and become larger versions of ourselves in this world. And so I think all it takes is just listening and slowing down in a day. And that spark is inside of everyone. It's inside of you. And anytime you want to follow that spark, there's tools everywhere just waiting for you, and teachers waiting for you to guide you, community to help you become more of who you are and what your gift is in this world.
Mm-hmm. I would say get in relationship with at least one person in your life that has your back, that you can have their back. Learn how to do that and let that be an anchor for your life, because you will not stop getting challenged by life. And the storms will keep coming. There'll be sunny days and dark days. And having someone at your side, whether it's a life partner or a best friend, to me, like what Will said, we can do more than I can. It makes all the difference in a well-lived life. And so get the tools and anything you can to get that and make it happen in your life. Make that one of your high priorities for this year and for the next quarter for yourself.
Beautiful. This is Will. Yeah, I would just want to add that one of the big experiences I've had in my life has been practicing medicine, and I have seen so many people come through my practice believing that they can't get well and that they're broken. And I take a stand for the truth that anyone can get well, and that, like Keith said, there are tools available to anyone on the internet for free. And like Jayson said, finding that relationship of someone who can stand next to you is a way to get well. There's so many ways to get well. Getting well in a men's tribe, or getting well in a circle of brothers like we have. my sort of message goes out to the people in the audience who either have been told that they can't get well, or have a loved one who's been told that, or been told that they have a brain disorder and they're going to be on meds for the rest of their life, and there's no other way to heal their problems, that there are other ways to heal. And I think we all believe that here, the four of us, from all the things that we've been through and what we've seen people be able to do. So, don't give up, and keep moving forward, and keep taking ownership of your own life and your own path.
Nice.
Yeah. Powerful. Where can people find you all? Just a little plug to, if people want to follow up with you, they connected with what you said and they want to explore further.
This is Keith again. So mostly this would be for Jason's listeners. So I'm the founder of Higher Practice, and you can come check out higherpractice.com. And we are helping practitioners, clinicians, psychiatrists, psychologists, helping them with different types of innovative information on how to help people, as well as doing business development for them and marketing, and helping them really grow and become entrepreneurs. And the Higher Practice podcast also has a lot of cool stuff like what we're doing today. So you can come check that out. We're on iTunes, and you can also find it on the website.
Nice. This is Reuvain. So my name's Reuvain Bacal. And what I offer is to get connected with a community of people that helps you connect with yourself and be more awake, be more free, get inspired, contribute your greatest offering to the world, clear up your relationship challenges. So you can do an 8-week men's group with me, or a year-long evolutionary men's tribe that I'll meet on my land outside of Boulder. And I also offer individual and couple relationship coaching, individual coaching, to help you live your greatest life, be inspired, clear the obstacles out of the way. So you can find me at reuvainbacal.com, REUVAINBACAL.com.
This is Will Vanderveer. The easiest way to follow up with me, if you want to be in touch with me, is to go to my website, which is ketaminetherapyboulder.com. It's KETAMINETHERAPYBOULDER.com. And been a pleasure, guys. Great to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been great.
Hell yeah.
It's been great.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, that's what it's like to connect with 3 of my closest friends about love and life and partnership and the personal growth path. So I hope that was useful. That was our more subdued selves, certainly. Get us talking at night, or get us on a roll, and it gets pretty intense and funny and edgy and shit. So maybe we'll record us again when we're not so formal. I'm guessing you found something valuable in there, and I want to challenge you right here, especially if you're a man, and certainly cool if you're a woman too, is what are you doing to create these kind of deep bonds in your life? People that challenge you and support you, who call BS on you and will hold you during hard times. Do you already have that? If so, awesome. Celebrate that. Call those friends right now and thank them and appreciate them for being in your life. If you don't have this, your action step is to first decide if you want this in your life and take one small step toward making this happen. That could be challenging your current friends to say, hey, I want to go deeper. It could be signing up for the relationship school to come meet really authentic friends and people that want to talk about what's actually going on in life. It could be a lot of things. So you decide what your action step is there, but the action step is take action and decide if you want this, and then do one small step. All right, you got this. So these are beautiful men in my life, and I wouldn't be here without their challenge and support over many, many years. Okay. And if you're a man, here is a free class that I want you to check out. Go to my old website, jaysongaddis.com. That's Jayson, Gaddis.com, /MEN. And there's a free web class you can join to empower you around your sexuality and around your relationships. Again, it's a men-only class. All right, so I only want men signing up for that thing. And you guys, I hope you get something out of that free class. jaysongaddis.com /MEN. And we'll see you in there. Take care, folks. Talk soon.